Hey folks, thought I'd give you a brief update on how the garden's doing. Mid-September. So this is the last set of corn. Still got another week or so to go. Not sure if those ears are going to get big enough to harvest, but it was worth a shot. Got lots of tomatillos, going to pick some today and make some fire roasted salsa. Tomatoes are on their last leg. There's a few still coming around. I might even use those for the salsa. We'll see. Now the paste tomatoes, the Amish paste tomatoes, are still putting out quite a few fruits, and that's nice because a lot of people don't like Romas for slicers, but I think they taste great for that. So between that and a fresh salsa or two, it's good. The peas are coming along nicely. I was able to pick a few the other day. We've got a set here on a trellis and another set here. These are doing a little bit better. You can see there's some pods about ready. I got a few the other day. I should be able to pick these and shell them soon. Got some broccoli rabe doing really well. Should be coming on soon. These are volunteer peppers. I wasn't sure what they were until recently. They are banana peppers and some jalapenos. And hopefully the jalapenos are hot. The other ones that I had growing are not. So I'd like to have some hot ones. You never know what you're going to get sometimes with jalapenos. This bed I'm letting the green beans go to seed. We really enjoyed this variety. Kentucky Wonder pole beans is what they are. And so I'm letting them go to seed so that I can save them for next year. Looks to be lots of seed there to collect. And I've got some beets getting a little bit too big. I don't like beets. I want to like beets, and I've grown them many times. So these are actually kind of big. I don't know if they're going to be so good, but I thought I'd pick some and pickle them. This is a type of radish. It's supposed to be a wasabi flavor radish, kind of like a horseradish, I guess. So I'll pick those pretty soon too. Might even pickle them or, lacto-ferment them. This bed had lettuce. I collected the seeds. They're drying now. Still got some carrots. Doing okay. I've harvested about half the bed. The other half still coming. It was actually 2 successive sowings. The first sowing, a lot of them didn't take, and so I did another sowing. I'm trying to think. It's been quite a while ago, so they're starting to size up. Kale bed still doing really well. I tend to get kale from frost to frost, essentially. Sometimes even through the winter I can get some. Swiss chard's doing well. This bed gets shade nearly all day, every day, until afternoon. Although with the sun's angle changing now, it's not getting much sun at all, but chard just keeps plugging away. It does really well. I recently planted some radicchio. That's what you see here. They're green for a long time. Then when they start to form heads, they turn that burgundy wine color. So looking forward to that. Got some blood vein sorrel there. Chickens are wondering if I'm going to give them any. There's some more sorrel. It's good. I haven't been keeping up with it. It's very prolific. Asparagus is pretty much relaxing for the rest of the summer. It sends up these stalks that can continue to photosynthesize and store energy back down into the root system for next year's crop. These are my hot peppers. Had them further back in the garden, but they were getting a little too much shade, so I brought them up here. They're doing okay. Just some habaneros. I picked most of them the other day to make some hot sauce. And these are my other jalapenos that aren't so hot. They're kind of nice to have around, but they're more almost like a bell pepper. And my Thai chilies are doing well. I tend to let them just dry on the plant. You can see here. They will shrivel up and dry without rotting. And so just for convenience sake, I often will just let them dry like this. And of course the strawberries are doing well. Strawberries, strawberries escaped one of my beds, 15 years ago. And they just snake their way through my garden. You can look here, they are everywhere. And I've tried to get rid of them many times. I've given away hundreds and hundreds of plants, but they just continue to grow. And so I'm letting them. We're going to be redoing the garden beds in the next year. So some of them might make it, some of them might not. We're revamping the garden quite a bit. Going to make the beds a tad bit smaller and a tad bit taller so I can have some more room to breathe around the garden. You can see this is just white pine and it's breaking down, so it needs replaced every now and then. I'm actually considering treated lumber. A lot of controversy. They don't use a lot of the chemicals that they used to use. So it seems to be safe from the research I have conducted. I think it might be the best way to go for now. This is a bed of brassicas. You can see their cabbage white butterfly fluttering around trying to lay eggs, but I decided to try BT this year, Bacillus thuringiensis. This is a bacterial toxin that is toxic to the caterpillars. So I put it on about once a week, usually at dusk, so that it doesn't mess with most of the other caterpillars. It's only toxic to caterpillars, but it is non-specific, so any caterpillar that might be on there. The cabbage white butterfly larvae, or there's also a moth, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, cabbage looper, I think is what it's called. And it seems to be working. They're getting chewed on a little bit. You can see she's still laying eggs, or ovipositing. But when the caterpillars begin to consume the vegetation, then that's when it kills them. That was the previous set of corn. It's all done, of course. I'll probably cut those stalks and make a decoration. This is a gigantic volunteer tomatillo. I've never seen so many blooms. It's huge. There's only a couple of fruit developing so far, but it has this interesting variegation. I haven't planted tomatillos for so many years. I get volunteers throughout the garden. And it's definitely getting pollinated. You can see the honeybees and variety of native bees as well. Pollinators are busy today. These green beans I'm also letting go to seed. They're far enough away from the others. These are the haricot vert variety, real thin French green beans. So we enjoyed those equally as well. And I'm saving seeds for next year. Pepper bed is still just doing so nicely. You can see lots of poblanos coming on. Some of these will make their way into my fire roasted salsa this afternoon or maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'll get around to that. Lots of peppers. Got sweet little cherry peppers that I'll be probably fermenting. And if you don't keep up with them, mushrooms are really fast. So my wine caps, just a few popped up today. And then I was gone all day yesterday, so a lot of them got a little too big and mealy. So I'll let those just drop their spores where they are, continue the crop. And I'll harvest the rest of these later today. I actually have quite a bit right now, so I'm going to dehydrate a batch to use over the winter. And the ginger, I still haven't put in a bigger pot yet, but I'll be doing that in the next week or two. It's hard to keep up with everything. Volunteer squash out of my compost are doing okay. I'll get a couple small. This might look large, but you can see here it's not very big. But it feels heavy, feels healthy. Still doing okay. And there's another one there. There's a few. Actually, I kind of like the small ones because it's just me eating them. And so it's nice just to have an individual to roast, to eat along with dinner or make into a soup of some sort. And a plethora of volunteer cherry tomatoes. I had a cherry tomato tower here last year, a bunch of them seeded in this bed. So I'm just letting them grow. I tend to let volunteer plants grow where they land, as long as they're not in my way or messing with anything. These are some cuttings I took from one of the native shrubs I got earlier. It's the coral berry is what it's called, Indian currants. And this is a avocado. I put a pit down in this planter earlier in the summer, and it's doing really well. We'll see if it makes it. I've grown many of them. They never really do well. But I'm hoping to get a greenhouse in the next year. So I might actually get to grow some and some citrus. Looking forward to that. I just took a chance and stuck a pineapple down in here. We'll see if anything happens to it. And so it's doing really well for mid-September. The leeks are faring nicely. Of course, they're kind of haphazard in that bed because they just grew where the seeds landed. You can see here when they get ready to reproduce, they produce this big flower stalk here. And so that will produce lots of seeds. And I'll probably just keep this bed leeks and let them reproduce there every year, as long as they don't suffer any major pest or disease problems. All right, let's get to harvesting some produce. If you're not familiar with what tomatillos look like, kind of like a tomato. They're related to tomatoes, but they're much denser, very different flavor, but perfect for salsa. I always feel the little paper husk. If it doesn't feel that's full, I let it grow a little longer. And these that are popping out, they'll be okay for salsa. Go ahead and harvest a few of these bland jalapenos. Add a habanero or two. Luckily, the poblanos are a bit on the hot side, so they will add some heat. Didn't quite get enough tomatillos, so most likely I'll add some green tomatoes for the salsa verde. And I noticed a broken branch on the bells today, so they will make their way into my salsa verde as well. Even though they're a little on the small side, once you fire roast them, they will taste just as good as full size. And I've got some nice Anaheims in here too. We'll get a few of those for good measure. And we'll harvest a few of these wine caps while we're here. I wasn't here yesterday, so many of them sort of grew out of control. You can see there, I'll just let those drop their spores, reproduce for later. A lot of these other ones, I'll just let them go. Hopefully grow mushrooms in this bed for quite a while. But usually when I harvest, I just come out after the dew dries and I'll just clip them. The stem is pretty fibrous, so I usually don't take too much of it, and I'll just put them in a paper bag. right into the fridge till I'm ready to use them. Probably, I have plenty right now, so I'm probably just going to dehydrate a few this time around. All right, since these tomato plants are on their last leg, I'm just going to go ahead and harvest a few to use for my Salsa Verde. They're actually quite good once you fire roast them. So stay tuned for the fire roasted Salsa Verde.